one of the reasons is because the sociocultural models of eating pathology, they predict that Black women have a lower risk because they are less prone to try to be thin. We embrace larger, fuller, more attainable body ideals. And it's also been said that Black men prefer their women to be voluptuous and curvy, and theoretically, this reduces the pressure for us to conform to a thinner mainstream body ideal. Also, classification approaches, the DSM and ICD codes they're largely based on white populations, and as such, these may not be useful for Black women. Um, Perhaps due to cultural differences. Also, conflicting research results may play into that, as well as the extant measures for assessing risk factors and symptoms.
Charlynn and I wrote the book Treating Black Women with Eating Disorders to focus on the unique experiences and challenges of Black women in the context of racism, sexism, classism, and just environmental racism. So the book addresses, because there's an emotional component as well as a physical component to eating disorders with Black women. And Black women really the culture protects Black women in terms of their body image, but the culture, the external barriers that Black women have to step into in terms of just all the unrest that's going on in the country today, in terms of Breonna Taylor, Sandra Bland, just the police brutality. Uh, every facet of a Black woman's life, she is being attacked in some way. So it's not surprising that she would engage in overeating or binge eating or some type of comfort eating to deal with her stressors.
They have to ask us the hard questions. Part of the reason that Black women are overlooked when diagnosing eating disorders is because we are not talking about them. We're not discussing those issues that Mazella raised. We're just not talking about them. Black women are not monolithic. We have so many differences among us. The extant measures they weren't validated or standardized with Black persons. So those existing measures for assessing these symptoms and risk factors typically are not uh, focused on things that um, are the lived experiences of Black persons as much. We have some persons who have anorexia, but by and large, we are binge eaters when we're feeling badly. Subtle racism, acculturative stress, those kinds of things are they're daily occurrences for us. And subtle racism is a psychosocial stressor that it erodes health.
I would say that asking the hard questions is very critical. And the hard questions when you're working with Black women with eating disorders, it's about their identity, right? It's about their community. It's about their culture. They don't want you to see them as, using colorblind, rendering them invisible. They want you to ask those difficult questions because chances are that's the reason they're walking into your office, right? Based on their lived experiences more than anything else. So you do have to ask the question about race. You have to ask them background information. If they come from an all white suburbs, what was it like being Black or a person of color? Or how do they see themselves, right? So it is a storytelling. And most Black people can embrace and appreciate storytelling. So you can integrate their identity, their race into their culture, the way they approach, because all of us as clinicians, no matter what color, we have to ask a narrative assessment, a complete assessment. And we can't put everything on the black woman too. We have to do our own work, right? Even black clinicians. There's a countertransference and a transference in terms of black on black working together. You may come from different classes. I may be seen as part of an oppressive system because most of the therapy or clinicians are majority white, come from the dominant group. So I have to really kind of sell myself, or the person is also sizing me up as a clinician. So what do I have to do? I have to do my own work. So I would say to my white allies in this business where we all represent the better side of humanity is to do our work in terms of our own implicit bias, the manifestations of not doing your own cultural competency work, cultural humility work. The manifestations of that in the clinical space will be microaggressions, will be you're operating under stereotypes, and people will you in the work can become blocked, impasse, or the person will leave. So, white clinicians, this book will allow you to leapfrog ahead and get the skills you need to ask the hard questions around race.